so far, this is probably my favorite episode to date. They did their big one with episode 3 of City of God. The fight. First of all, hold on. Before I even get into episode 3 of City of God, the fight rages on. Mm-hmm. You know me. I've been dabbling in my Portuguese.
Oh, all right. Yes,
since the show started, right? And
so 3 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in it. And
okay.
The direct translation for the title of the show, and I don't know who decided this, it's not the fight rages on, because that's just like that's like a phrase, but nobody really says that. The direct translation is the fight doesn't stop. Why is that?
So why are we not just going with that? Why?
That has nothing to do with episode 3 or anything. But it's something that just popped into my head. Yeah, that's the direct translation is the fight doesn't stop. And I was like, y'all could, even if y'all was gonna change a word, y'all could have just put change doesn't to never or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, the fight rages on.
Or won't. Fight won't stop.
Yeah. Anyhow.
The fight can't stop. How about that? I mean, we have so many options. HBO, why did y'all not call us in advance?
I mean, we got you.
Got y'all.
But they obviously don't need our help too much, because they showed out episode 3, Tiera. I don't know what to say. Like, where do we start? Okay, let's just go ahead and get the more soft and sentimental stuff out of the way, and then we're gonna get into all the rough and tough. Okay.
All right. With our Afro pups.
So what got me was the writing on this show is just smart. The way that they craft out a scene, they set up a character to be in a scenario, is just smart. We've watched a lot of stuff, and some shows will just be lazy about how to place someone somewhere. So what we see MC Leck. Once her mother passed, she was with her grandmother, and it's been that way for a while. But they laid it out for us in a way that was smart, that we got a lot of questions answered, so we're not like, hanging in the ballots. And this was stuff that they could have gave us episode 1, but the way that they gave it to us was perfect and ideal. And also, I don't know about you, I love the scenes with Lecca and Buscapé, Wilson, Rocket. But I just love their scenes together. So when he finally comes to her and he's talking to her in the room, I break for what was about to come up. But what do you think about just like the relationship, with the questions that we got answered with Lecca and her father, and just the scenes that they do together? I think they're just really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that we got the answers to the questions that we've been asking, and we got the answers in the way that we should have gotten them as a part of the story, not just them telling us. So I appreciate that. Like you said, kudos to the writers for that. The scenes with Buscapé, Wilson.
See, he got so many aliases, bro.
He got so many names. The scenes with Wilson and MC Lecca, I think those are really dope, because like you said, they're typically pretty calm and pretty peaceful, specifically this one in episode 3, but you can also feel the tension between the two of them. It's almost like he's really timid around her. He's very careful about how he speaks, what he says. Tread lightly, because she the type to pop off. And she also is. I ain't been around, so let me tread lightly. And so we're able to see it with these scenes, and I think these two actors do a really good job of portraying that.
Oh, that's so good. And speaking of Lecca popping off, this is the one thing that I've grown to start to really like about this character, is that she pretty much is no nonsense. And at first, when they brought her on and she was performing at that party, episode 1, I was like, okay, this is gonna be one note. She wants to, perform music and rap and twerk, right? I saw, oh God. But they have managed to stick so many layers in her character, and she's pulling them off so well. We see her meet up with Delano on the street in that particular scene, and the flirtation between them. I like the flirtation because I like the fact that she's in control of that situation completely. And even though Delano is like this tough guy. He's, like we said before, he's got a temper on him. He's an officer. He's doing all these things or whatever. He can't do nothing with her. Like he can't. And she's just fully owning like her whole thing. Even she was scolding him about walking the streets in the city of God after there was a war that broke out the night before. She was like, "What you doing out here?" But he did not say to her. If you notice, he didn't say to her, "No, what are you doing out here?" Because she good.
She good, and he is smitten, honey. He is smitten, and he is another word that I won't use here on this platform. Another 2 words. But yeah, he is smitten with Miss MC Leka, and she knows it, and she's using that to her advantage. And I believe that there's gonna come a point in this story where she continues to use that to her advantage to maybe get her out of something or into something. So we're gonna see.
Yeah. Because you did see that he got a bit defensive. He didn't pry too much because again, he can't tell her what to do. But he did kind of get defensive when she was like, we signed this contract with some guy or whatever. And he was like, pretty much like, who? What happened? So I enjoyed that interaction as well. And then also we get more with Cynthia and Delano a bit too. We got to see, okay, this is just going to be, whatever it's going to be. And they end up layering so much in a short time. This is only episode 3, by the way. And they've already made him one of the more interesting characters of the season for me. So to see that he's using his military tactics to implement on the streets and it's working in their favor for a while. And then to contrast that with his relationship with Roberta. Also, didn't pick up on this the first time, Tiera. I don't know if you did or not, that they're actually a married couple.
No, that threw me. And I didn't know if it was like, how people will say, oh, that's my wife, that's my husband, but they're not like really actually husband and wife. I was wondering if it was that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't mention it before.
Yeah, I think that it's not. I think that they are married because he seems like PQD seems like someone who wants to be doing the right stuff, but then he has this thing, this underlying thing that needs to come out of him, which a lot of times for military guys translates into like PTSD or stuff like this. And he's found an outlet. He's basically who he was before he retired from the military with honors. And so there's a scene. Roberta is walking down the street, and PQD is on the back of that bike with the. He's holding the chicken, and they pass each other. Them to use this character in the way that they did, especially by the time that Bradock and Zeroonze start to, bring things together on their side, because I didn't see this little guy coming out and like leveling up.
No, I didn't see it at all. I thought that scene where we saw him freeze up a little bit due to the PTSD, I kind of thought that was going to be it, honestly.
Yeah.
But no, they're now making him a focal point, as we know by the way that the episode ended. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how this character develops. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Janee, Curio's son, interacts with this character, because I don't know if you saw this, but at the point where PQD pulls him aside, because he had the PTSD.
Yeah.
Janee was peeping. He saw what was going on.
Yeah.
He didn't comment, but he peeped it. And so I'm like, all right, something is going to be up between these two, because now this has hit the fan.
Yeah. So with Janee, with Curio's son, first and foremost, this was the first episode where I was like, oh, it was just like it was like the perks of being like this crime boss's son. And so now you're a bad guy, right? Whereas in that moment where they were out there and he was like falling through, and like you said, he came up and he was peeping what was happening with Zeroonze. I was like, no, this guy is like, he could literally go off on his own and like do something, but also there's going to be a sense of entitlement, right? There's going to be like this air of arrogance because he doesn't seem to like have much fear. And that I'm curious about what they will do with that. Just
Interesting. Yeah, see, I always saw him as a bad guy, a villainous character. Yes, we know he's Curio's son, but he always gave me that he was down to roll in the mud whenever. Like he always gives me, I'm ready for
That's true.
whatever.
That's true. Now he didn't say anything when he was like just watching what was going on or whatever, but he did kind of speak up. Something's got to give here because we know, and they're pacing the politician storyline out more than anything, but we know we theorize that is in fact who Zeroonze is working for to stir up trouble in the city of God. Now here's what I don't yet get, and I can't even like guess at yet, and you can let me know if you have any ideas. What's his end game? Why is he so obsessed with the crimes and stuff going on in the city of God? Going from Reginaldo being going from being a corrupt police to now being a corrupt politician. Why is he only obsessed with the city of God? And like, I don't get it. I don't know why.
We're gonna find out. I'm with you. I don't know.
I don't know why. And I think this show is going to answer stuff, but I just don't know why. Go ahead.
Because we know we're getting a season 2. We're not gonna find out this season.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
Oh, and the cliffhangers are so good. So in the climax of the show, we see a rift between Bradock and Zeroonze as normal. This is their toxic relationship at this point.
This is every day.
And Zeroonze is doing things to kind of go behind Bradock's back because there was that scene where they want to go after PQD because he's, offing their whole lineup of people and he's doing his thing. And then Zeroonze's like, okay, he's got to have a weakness, something, right? And which you think like that when you're trying to get over on someone. That's when someone mentions Berenice, his wife, right? It was Zeroonze.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, I think Bradock knew he needed to do it. It needed to come from him because if it came from Zeroonze, it was going to be mayhem.
Yeah.
Because Zeroonze don't know how to move smoothly.
No.
She don't know how to be low key. She does the most. And then also, I think it was a little bit of a sign of respect that Bradock is like, listen, I know Berenice. We came from the same place.
Yeah.
We go way back. She trying to do right for the community because he said that. He was like, you trying to do right for our community. Like,
Yeah.
you want good things for us. So I think it was both of that. But then also he was like, all right, she said what she said. So I got to do what I got to do. Let me pull up on Berenice.
Exactly. And Andrea Horta, I hope I'm saying this right. I want you to know, I do hate you. As I hate Zeroonze, okay? But Andrea, I must tell you, you are so good. You are so good at making me hate. If you listen to this, I'm telling you, you are so good at making me hate you. There's a scene where she finally goes and she figures out a way to get to PQD that leaves Berenice alone a little bit. But she also, she's trying to, how to figure out how to live. You can't tell me that was like not one take. You can't tell me that she just didn't like, what?
Because she would have had multiple prints.
Yeah. But the fact it's like even in the terms of like acting, she could have just placed her head there and not, But she was pressed up on that, like, okay, and
literally pressed.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Y'all did the things on this one. Y'all did the things. Thank you.
She's so good. Oh my God! Yeah, and then we learned that her tactics paid off. So when Zeroonze gets that text, it's basically letting her know that Curio and his, crew are on the move, and that sets them up for the ambush. Here's how good this show is. I expected at some point Bradock to get a leg up. I didn't expect it to be like this. The way that they went about the ambush, and then all of a sudden the fallout. So we see PQD get shot up. Spoiler.
And I was like, dang.
we see Curio get shot up. And then it's like, wait, this show is literally, I had to be reminded because I had this thought for other characters, but like anybody can get it at any point.
Yeah.
You don't get to, just because you are a lead and you have favor, even in the casting lineup, you'll be top billing, right? Don't mean you can't get killed off in this show.
Honestly, those are my favorite kind of shows. Like, don't be so predictable. Like, let me know that anybody can get it. I love that because it keeps you on your toes. Like
Yeah.
the scene where they were headed toward the ambush, basically, and Curio was going to go see his wife and his kids who had been, held up since the war. We knew that something was about to go down. We knew.
What?
Yeah, it was.
I literally,
it was
the way she delivered. I'm watching the show now. I watch this by myself. I just be chilling, and sometimes there's little stuff in the show where I get an audible thing, and this was like so. It caught me off guard so much. I was sitting there like, oh,
Me too.
and then she's going on, and I was like, oh man, oh no, oh. This is where I think we go even further because now Bradock and Zeroonze have really done it up. They took out two major gang leaders, Osimar and Curio, right? And then we also see Martina, Curio's wife, telling her son like to get on through. And we know that based on his actions earlier in that episode, that he's not scared of nothing. He didn't even really leave quickly in that exchange. I did not see any of this coming. And this is why if you are not watching City of God, the fight rages on, depending on the country you are in. If you are not watching this show, you should be. Number one, if you do, you get to converse with us and chat with us about the show because at this point, we're City of God geeks. I've been one. Tiera is now one too, I can tell.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's been no lull for me since we started episode 1, and this is hard to do for a show. And at first I thought I was just being biased because I had been such a fan, of the show in the past. But no, it's really that good. They're really like doing it up. It's gonna be another Angela Bassett for me this week too. I mean, argue with your mama if you disagree.
Come on.
I can't say enough. I'm ready for next week. Do I have any
predictions for next week?
That's what I was gonna say. If I have any, so there's gotta. I don't know exactly. I can't say specifically. Okay. I think that Leka having a spar or telling off that club owner may result in an issue with her and Delano because now she done kissed him and he's really, his nose is open so wide. So if they keep having clashes, we may see something happening there. With there being several bosses down, I think it's at this point that we start to see the political moves being made. I think that they will be more comfortable moving like police and military in to shut stuff down because there's an open issue here, right? There's an opening for them to do so. And then I think that Bradock is going to be on a high from this. I think that he is going to feel like, because people like Curio in the City of God. They may not disagree, or they may not agree with him, but people like him. So I think that Bradock, knowing how Curio is and how he ran things, I think he's going to be on a high and feel like he can be the next Curio, and it's not going to go in his favor. With Wilson and them, I think Touro is on. Wilson and Lígia, I think Touro is on them. If you notice, this episode we didn't see Stringy. So, but we know that Stringy is also, trying to be more political as well. So I just feel like with them taking each other out on this level and wounding, the gang leaders who are starting all this stuff, I think this is where we see the power play shift, and they kind of like try to shut it down. I think that I'm gonna start to feel so bad for Roberta because we don't know what happened. Yeah, poor Berenice. Oh, poor Berenice. Oh God. Oh, that's what I'm gonna be saying next week. I feel like, oh, poor Berenice, because she tried to, be level-headed with him and let him know that he's bigger than what they were doing, but clearly PQD gonna do what PQD want to do. So I don't have any like solid predictions because this can go anywhere, but those are the things that I'm like paying attention to the most. What about you?
Well, for me, I just have two quick things. One, I do feel like so on the dubbed version they call her Lígia. I think that she's going to continue to step in mess in places where she has no business, and I think that she's going to get caught up. I think she's going to get either someone hurt or herself, because she's doing too much. So that is my prediction. Like you said, Touro is onto them, so I predict that she's going to get into some stuff.
Do you think she's going to get Wilson caught up?
Maybe, because his nose is open too. Maybe. We're going to see. I don't know.
Because he really ain't got no business,
helping her. Like, what's his aim? Like, what do you get from this? So, yeah.
But he also has that he has that thing where he's wanting to like sort of change the narrative a bit, and I think maybe that is why he's also helping her, where he's like, you know what, I know about some stuff and how corrupt it is, and they won't let me change it doing what I'm doing, so maybe if I help you, we can change it together. There is that storyline.
There is that, but either way, she's gonna get somebody hurt, either herself, Wilson, Buscapé Rockets, or some of the. Or
she better not, because at that point they can go ahead and take her out, because Wilson don't really bother nobody.
He don't bother nobody. He really doesn't. So we're gonna see about that. And then the last thing I can say that I think we'll see in the next episode is I think we're gonna see PQD being hurt. I don't think he's offed yet. I think we're gonna see him hurt, and I do think that he's gonna start to have this revelation, this come to Jesus, this moment of like, okay, hold on, I got to rethink my life.
I don't think so.
He's probably gonna call Berenice and he's gonna get on her line and say, baby, I miss you, baby. Please, baby, please, baby, please unlock the door. I want to come home. And she's gonna say no.
I don't think so.
All right, well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see, because next week
he's gonna double down.
We're gonna see, because next week we will be covering this again, episode 4. Yes, out of 6, so we're more than halfway there. So yeah, we'll see next week. We're gonna cover it. We'll be back.
What are you rating it this week?
It's gonna be Queen Latifah for me. I'm steady.
Ooh, you stingy.
I know that ain't the pot calling the kettle. I know.
This will be the one show that when it wraps for the first season, I'm going to be suitably chastened. I'm going to be so upset that, and we haven't had that feeling in a long time, So I'm already anticipating how upset I'm going to be waiting for it to come back.
No.
So
shout out to streaming.
Join us next week. Join us next week for more of this conversation. And again, if you're watching, say where you're watching from. Let's really like geek out and enjoy ourselves here. Sorry this went on longer than the others, but it was so good.